Hey there buds, Awesomust here. I went to see the FNAF movie with my roommate after 8 years of build-up. Damn, it's been a long time. Surely within 8 years, Scott Cawthon cooked up something great, right? Well, let's find out. And yes, there will be spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, you've been warned. If I see comments saying that I'm an asshat for spoiling something, I will send my agony entity after you. It's also good to keep in mind that while being in the FNAF canon, it's in its own separate continuity, just like the books. So what did I personally think of the film? In all honesty, this film, while I am glad that I saw it, is seriously flawed, and is a very PG-13 movie, except for a couple of things near the end. While the animatronics look one-for-one like the games, thanks to the help of the man himself, Jim Henson's wonderful company, as well as having fantastic animatronic movements on top of being able to be worn by people too, which makes me ask if the people wearing them have considered getting life insurance, I honestly wasn't scared by them once. In fact, they honestly made me laugh more than once. For one, there was that infamous cupcake scene. The other segment with Coryxkenshin as a taxi driver with Golden Freddy in the backseat. You can't do that to him, like, come on! And when they had that montage where they built a fort with Michael, Abby, and Vanessa, I was left shocked. Bonnie even falls over after being overexerted and gives a thumbs up to indicate that he was fine. At that moment, I thought to myself, am I still watching a horror movie? In the original game, there was humor, but it was sparse and dry, playing into the realism and horror of the situation. But here, this was honestly too much. I was expecting a laugh track to play at any moment. When the animatronics tried to be scary, I'd say that they did fine, and I enjoyed how you sometimes got to see them moving in the background. Though I would have preferred it if they didn't move until they went to kill someone. A part of what made the games unsettling is what you didn't see, and it made everything feel more paranormal that way. But then there's being stuffed. Who put that device together? The animatronics? With those clunky-ass hands? And those saw blades and shit. Are those supposed to be crossbeams, wires, and animatronic devices? Because bitch, those are not animatronic devices, that's a fucking saw trap. At any moment, I expected a screen to turn on and say, "Hello, Mike. I want to play a game." And then there's what they did to Golden Freddy. For one, insert sans joke here. Two, I don't know how to feel about him standing up. To me, what made Golden Freddy cool was the fact that even though he couldn't move, he was capable of so much. And with this portrayal, I feel like that magic has been taken away. And finally, he barely appeared at all. He only shows up to return Abby to the pizzeria, and that's it. What a letdown! He doesn't even make an appearance when Afton gets his comeuppance. And no, seeing his spirit does not count. Speaking of the spirits, they're different in this continuity, but again, that doesn't matter, given that it is in fact separate. Also, in the back room, there's a broken down dog animatronic with a bone collar. There's your Sparky the Dog hoax reference, Sparky enjoyers. Are you happy now, you weirdos? I was hoping for a part in the movie where Freddy does his Torador March jingle, yet he never does, which I think is an insanely missed opportunity. I mean, that's one of the things he's known for the most, and you don't even take advantage of it? What's wrong with you? And then there's the way they act in regards to children. In the movie, they want Abby to be with them forever, so they want to force her into a spring lock suit so she can become like them. Wow, that is the exact opposite of them in every other continuity. In the games and the books, they kill adults because they were killed by one, and they protect children because they were all once children, and they don't want other kids to end up like them. Here, it's like they don't care about their current state and want others to join them for eternity, which is so ass backwards that it's mind-melting. Their existence is meant to be unnatural and a hell that nobody should suffer through, and I don't think that comes across given their motivations, and it definitely doesn't represent the games for general audiences that don't know what the games are like. They even kill adults knowing that they're innocent and aren't their murderer. They feel less like tortured and confused souls, and more evil. And that's the thing, they never felt like dead, haunted animatronics, and more like evil killing robots, as they're too expressive, and the glowing eyes don't help. Compare shots of them in the movie to shots of them in the games, and the difference is night and day. But we do see one thing we haven't before from these characters, seeing them act like animatronics for once! Wow, what a concept! Thank you, Scott Cawthon, for taking that from us in FNAF VR. It's great to see, but why did they choose Talking in Your Sleep by the Romantics? It's a children's entertainment chain. Why didn't they use Celebration by Kool and the Gang like Chuck E. Cheese? Hell, the song is in the movie when Mike goes to get his meds at a pharmacy, so why didn't they do it? Were they afraid that people were going to call them out for ripping off Charles Entertainment Cheese, the powerful rat himself? Well, he already ripped them off this October, so I think it would have made them square. When it comes to the kills, they were very... there. They existed. The thing with PG-13 movies is that you can't see the kills, and they have to be off-screen. But it's not like I wanted to see something over the top. I didn't want them to be too safe, but I also didn't want them to be over-the-top gore fests either. Unfortunately, however, they play it too safe. One kill that I think was ridiculously over the top was the kill where Freddy bites someone in half. Way too ridiculous and unrealistic to the point where it's laughable. What would have worked so much better is if she was pulled in deep enough for her head to be bitten into and crushed. Bite of 83 style. It was off-screen anyway, so it'd just be as gory as FNAF 4's head chomp. Something that I believe matched the subdued gore of the first 3 games were the bodies we saw near the end. They aren't too gory, but it's enough to be unsettling, like Springtrap and FNAF 1's game over screen. Speaking of Springtrap, William Afton's death I believe was the best one. Perfectly in line with the games, and while you can see it in gruesome detail, it's not overtly gory. But come to think of it, there surprisingly wasn't enough of the animatronics killing people. It happens once in the beginning, and another time near the middle, and that's it. Honestly, I would have liked it if there was more of that. Then we have the characters and their performances. I honestly believe that Josh Hutcherson has the best performance of the bunch here. He really sells the fact that he's a broken man that's lost everything and is down on his luck, yet does everything he can for what he has left. His sister Abby. His care for her and their bond was one of the highlights of the film for me. Speaking of, Piper Rubio's performance is... fine. Most of the time she's passable, but there are certain points where she doesn't feel believable. At least they're too few to be a big deal. Elizabeth Lail does a good job as Vanessa, as well as all of the extras. The dead kids don't really do much outside of run around, but I do like the jump scare the kid possessing Foxy does, sporting tear streaks like the dead kids from the games. The kid that possessed Golden Freddy, Grant Feely, however, had a fantastic performance. He sold the fact that he was twisted and did bad things to get what he wanted. Every time he smiled, he looked twisted enough to stab somebody, and I was there for it. I hope his time with this movie leads to a great career. Matthew Lillard was a great casting choice as William Afton and plays a really good killer, but the problem is that he's not subtle. He always feels so off in every scene he's in as Steve Raglan that it doesn't feel as shocking or as chilling when he's seen as a killer. What honestly would have worked better is if he seemed like any other person before being revealed to be a monster. And speaking of, when he was revealed after taking off the spring bunny head, I realized that for general audiences, this twist would most likely ring hollow because there wasn't enough of Steve to lead them to conclude that he's William. I don't think there were any hints outside of the way he acted. If I was someone who had zero context, I would have been like, oh my god, Steve was William, what? And yes, he does say that he always comes back, which was honestly pretty corny. And in the context of the movie, him saying it didn't really make sense. This is canonically the first attempt at his life, so why would he even say it like this if it was something he's used to? Oh well, it's a FNAF reference and I'm a FNAF fan, so I'm supposed to blindly enjoy it. Also, they didn't even really go into the history of the spring Bonnie suit, what it means and why it matters. It doesn't feel like a costume with a grand history, it just feels like another Springlock costume. And they do delve into Springlocks, but they don't even go into why they existed. FNAF fans will get it, but general audiences don't have the context that they were made long ago as cost-efficient technological advancements of the time, so their presence honestly felt hollow. FNAF fans would argue that it's not for general audiences, but an adaptation should be able to stand on its own, and should lend itself to being enjoyable by the common moviegoer. I know these things, I didn't take a class on adaptations in college for nothing. And yeah, I know that Michael isn't William's son in this, and instead has a daughter named Vanessa, but I don't really mind. Remember, different continuity. Then there are the cameos, and honestly, they're both groan fests. You probably already know why I don't like Coryxkenshin's cameo, but then there's Matt Pat's cameo. The joke they play up honestly isn't that funny, and when he said it's just a theory, I died a little inside. A cameo like that is honestly more distracting than anything and sucks me out of the moment, and honestly makes me glad that Markiplier wasn't in the film due to scheduling conflicts. But speaking of cameos, I had to admit, it was really nice to see the Living Tombstone's FNAF 1 song play during the end credits. That song is practically the FNAF song, so popular within the fanbase that it's ingrained itself in mainstream FNAF culture, so seeing it in an official FNAF property was honestly really satisfying and touching. The movie ends with the spirit of Golden Freddy leaving William Afton in a room to die. It's a good ending, but it leaves me wondering where the story will go from here. It can't go to FNAF 2 because Michael doesn't know about William at this point, and his knowledge of the animatronics starts in this film, so the logical step would be to move on to FNAF 3. We'll just have to wait and see what they manage to do. And just like FNAF 2, after the end credits, letters are said to spell out the phrase, "Come find me." Who does this refer to? We'll have to wait and see. Maybe it's the puppet. People have said they noticed them, albeit very briefly in brightened footage, but I don't know how true it is, but it is a possibility. Now, does this movie allow us to come to any conclusions in terms of FNAF lore like the books do? Well, Michael does have dreams in the movie that connect him to the dead kids, guiding him closer to the knowledge he wants to know. You could argue that Michael in the games goes from location to location, knowing what to do in each place he visits because he's being guided, specifically by Golden Freddy. In the movie, he communicates with him the most, and in FNAF 2, the cutscenes in between nights are referred to as dreams in the files. Not just that, but they all end with "It's me," the signature phrase of Golden Freddy. It's likely that throughout the games, Michael has been guided by his brother, the Crying Child, one of the two spirits possessing Golden Freddy. The reason Golden Freddy also tries to attack him is because of the other spirit, Cassidy, the vengeful spirit. But remember, nothing's for certain. Then there's Vanessa. While not Security Breach Vanessa or Elizabeth Afton from the games, her existence as an officer named Vanessa who's the daughter of William Afton can potentially make the Vanessa is Elizabeth theory from the games more believable. But that's just my opinion. Overall, while I'm glad that I saw it, this movie's flaws are way too glaring for me to ignore. Not scary at all, way too many moments that made me laugh, which I see as a bad thing, not enough context for general audiences in terms of key elements, and not that good of a representation of FNAF for general audiences as a whole. This is my movie ranking list. It ranks movies on a scale of 1 to 10, with each number meaning something in terms of quality. The Sonic movies are a 6 and 6.5 out of 10 respectively. While fun, they're flawed. The Mario movie is a 7 out of 10. It was enjoyable, but it does the bare minimum a movie needs to do without the substance that would make it something more. The FNAF movie is honestly a 5.5 out of 10. FNAF fans may have a good time, but for general audiences, it's not that good of a movie. No frights, yet bizarrely a lot of laughs. Who knows, maybe it was so that the kids in the fanbase could see it. Well, that was my review of the FNAF movie. I hope you guys aren't too pissed off, and I'll see you all next time. Be sure to check out my friends and have an awesome day.